you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O's, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O's, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Martin
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre is off today. Lucky man, he's playing in a golf tournament. And if the weather's anything like it is where I am in New Hampshire, in the New England area, he's got a perfect day for golf. It's about 74 and sunny here, dry. This is my type of weather. I know people like it a little hotter in the summer, but I'll take this any day. Anyhow, no Pierre today. We'll be joined by Mike McMahon of the College Hockey Insider newsletter. We've had him on before. He covers college hockey inside out. He knows anything. He's basically a mini Pierre Maguire when it comes to college hockey. So excited to have him come on. He's going to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on. There's actually been some big college hockey news over the summer here and recently. I think it was last week. Yeah, there was an announcement about scholarships. The number of the scholarships for each team is being raised to 26. This is going to really affect some teams. It's going to pinch some teams. And we're going to talk to Mike about, how that's going to affect some teams positively and other teams negatively. We'll also talk about the transfer portal, who made out in the portal there. We'll talk also about the Boston College Eagles, who are going to be having an incoming freshman. Last year it was BU, who got the projected number one pick as an incoming freshman in Macklin Celebrini. This year it is the Boston College Eagles, their rivals, have James Higgins coming in. This kid is supposed to be superb. He is projected to go number one by a lot of people that are draft experts around the league. And he will be playing for the Eagles this coming season. So we'll talk about that. And also, the Eagles lost some players, but they also kept some players. Can they get back to the NCAA championship where they lost to Denver last spring? And then I'm just going to ask Mike for some teams and players, dark horse teams and players to keep an eye out this season and see what he has for that. But yeah, of course, as always, after we talk to Mike, we might even open it up a bit before we go on with Mike, because I don't think he's going to make it on until about 4:15, 4:20. So we'll see. But get your questions going over there. As I just wrote, it is Sidney Crosby's birthday, 37 years old. It's unreal, really, when you think about it. I just remember him coming to the league at 18, and I was just starting my journalism career. So our careers have kind of paralleled. It's been amazing to watch him play, one of the best ever. He is 37 years young, but I still always call him Sid the Kid. I don't know about you, but as I said over there, give me your favorite Sid memories. We'll talk about that. Again, some news. Unfortunately, our good friend Mark Recchi, three-time Hall of Famer, five-time three-time Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, five-time Stanley Cup winner. He will be joining us hopefully later this week or maybe early next week. We're going to talk to him about his departure from Columbus, if we can get him on. What happened there, we'll see. But I think they made a mistake. And I'm not just saying that because I'm friends with Rex. I think I'm speaking objectively. I think that even firing Pascal Vincent was a bit of a mistake. Last year was a throwaway in my eyes from the get-go for the Columbus Blue Jackets, given what happened with Mike Babcock before the season and just some other stuff that's gone on there. It was just a weird season. If I was ownership and management, of course, they got some new management. I understand that, and changes are going to happen. But I still would have given it at least the first quarter, the first half of this season coming up to really see what the real changes are that I would need to make. But I'm not, that's why I'm not in those positions. But I just think that was a mistake. As I tweeted, and I want to get your responses to this, I think that Mark Recchi would be the perfect person to fill that assistant role that's still open for the Montreal Canadiens. He's played there. He knows the market. He loved his time there. Obviously, I know he's got some history there with the Bruins coming in as well from 2011, but he knows that market. He played with Marty St. Louis. He could help that power play. I think it's a good fit. Him and Marty think a lot alike. I talked to Rex a lot. I've covered Marty a lot. There's a lot of similar philosophies there that I think would intertwine and blend into the coaching as a team. I just think Mark Recchi would be a great fit for the Montreal Canadiens. So let me know what you think about that. And you know what? We got about 5 to 10 minutes. Let's go over there right now. Let's take some questions here. From our listeners and viewers before we go over to Mike McMahon, and then we will talk to you again after he is done. Shane Loney, will the Calgary Flames finish in the bottom 10 of teams for the upcoming season? Who do you think will be the bottom 10 teams? You know, Shane, I saw this as I was talking just now, so I haven't really had time to like compile top 10 bottom teams or the bottom 10 teams. But yeah, I think the Flames are in there again. I definitely do. I think the Flames are taking a step back. They're pretty open that they're in a rebuild or whatever they want to call it, a retool. Who knows? You know, they can call it whatever they want, but in my eyes, they're in the rebuild. Yeah, I think they're going to really struggle to make the playoffs out of their division. So I'm with you on that. All right, what else do we got? Shane Loney again. Any insight into the changes on Columbus with Recchi, et cetera? So yeah, as I was just saying, Mark Recchi let go by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think it's a matter of, you know, new regime coming in. That's what I think that is. It happens all the time. We spoke about this. Pierre has told you about this from his experience in the business. So when a new regime comes in, there's usually a lot of coaching changes and changes below the GM or the president of hockey operations, whoever the new guy is, or sometimes even ownership. You know, so when you get a big personnel change like that, usually a lot of people on guard that they might lose their job. And we saw it happen to the head coach there, Pascal Vincent, and now an assistant coach in Mark Recchi. The other two assistant coaches, Jared Bull and Steve McCarthy, I believe were kept. But interesting note yesterday, tweet from our good friend Aaron Portzline of The Athletic, who we had on earlier this summer. He tweeted yesterday, and I haven't seen behind the scenes. I forgot to follow up to see if he wrote on that today because I've been kind of working part/full-time with a new sales job in the summer here just to make a little extra money. And if, by the way, you guys ever want some good human resource, you want to check out HR2Fit. They're a human resource consulting service. Good friend of mine, Brendan Sanat, works for them. So I've been doing that. I didn't have time to follow up, but yesterday he said that Derek Dorsett, former player, 2 times I think he might have played with the Blue Jackets, he was in player development and he resigned. So, you know, I was texting with a couple of NHL executives, scouts, and, you know, the common thread was, what the heck is going on? Like, yes, as I just said, and they said it too, yes, they get that there's a new management regime, so you're going to see changes, but what's with a guy resigning? That's just odd. And it's not like he's old or he's at the end there and he wants to retire and go off into the sunset. He's just starting off. So, you know, I think they're kind of a mess, to be blunt. I think right now the Columbus Blue Jackets are a bit of a mess and they got to reel it in. It seems to be a lot of dysfunction coming from that organization, and it started last summer and it's carried through, and it's up to that new regime led by Don Waddell to take care of this and kind of bring it all together and maybe reestablish a new culture, because it doesn't seem to be headed in the right direction. And that's too bad, because I know that Pierre and I have spoke about this before, but I know a lot of people don't get it. They don't think Columbus. They don't think hockey. They think Ohio State football. But as Aaron Portzline agreed, and he's not just saying it because he's from there, he's a writer, he's objective, he'd tell you that it's a good market. They get a lot. They have a lot of sellouts. They have good fans. It's a good environment. It's a great place for players to live. So I do think, you know, when you saw them, was it back in 2019, they made the second round. The Bruins beat them en route to the Stanley Cup final that year. I mean, they've got the chance to do something there if they figure out how to do it right again and get it together and reestablish that culture. So we'll see. You know, hopefully I can talk to Rex and ask him what happened, but, you know, he's probably going to want to move on, but it just happens, new changes, but still there's a lot of weird things, it seems like, going on in Columbus right now. We good? We got anything else? It says no more. I got one. All right, let's put it up. Charles. Hi, Jimmy. This doesn't have to relate to Habs, however. Their key centers now in the pipeline are Suzuki, Doc, Kapanen, Beck, Hayes, Koivu are all right-handed. Isn't it best to have a few lefties? Yeah, I think so. I think that it's good for you to have a variety. Obviously, you want to be able to throw different looks at the opponent and kind of play some games with the other coach. But, you know, if just so happens, I'm sure, you're not going to, let's just put it this way. You're not going to always, some teams do. And speaking of the aforementioned Mike Babcock, he was like a real stickler for that on D, if you remember. Remember that's how he chose the Olympic team. And I think it's PK Subban might have been the odd man out, or maybe he was a depth player because I forget. I'll have to go back and look at that. But I remember it just that being a big topic, that he was so strict about left, right, not having guys be able to play on the offside, on their offside. So it's a good point, though. It's a good catch by you to bring it up there. All right. Well, listen, we'll get back to questions, of course, that are brought to us by TCS and Betway, and we'll talk about them when we are finished with our guest who's joining us now. He is the College Hockey Insider newsletter. That is Mike McMahon. He's been on here before. As I said, a walking encyclopedia of college hockey. Still working away here in the summer. Mike, do you take any breaks or what?
We took a couple. Yeah, did a couple of short trips. Got another one coming up. So there'll be like some random days off here and there. But I was joking with my wife the other day. I said, every time we try to go anywhere, something happens. Yeah. I even joked to somebody, we went to go see Metallica at Gillette the other night, and I said to my buddies that I was going with, I said, look, like a coach is going to get fired because I'm trying to enjoy myself for an afternoon. And luckily nothing happened, but it seems like for the last 6 months, every time I try to do anything, something happens and it kind of pulls me away.
Yeah, I know the feeling, my friend. 24 years in journalism, I know it. How was Metallica?
Great. Yeah, really good. Both nights were really good. So
you went both, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
A friend of mine got tickets. Guy I went to high school with got tickets 2 years ago when they went on sale.
Wow.
So it felt like we've been waiting for it for a while, but it was good.
Nice. And did you go with just a fam or friends? What?
Yeah, it was actually two guys that I went to high school with. One of them I've known since grammar school, and then we were roommates together in college too, believe it or not. So I've known him since I was 5.
Nice.
But it was a good
time seeing him?
No, we saw them a few years ago at Gillette. In 17 maybe. So it was the three of us went then too. So it was good. Yeah,
it's one band on my bucket list I have not seen yet. They put on a hell of a show from what I see. So Mike, like I said, there's been a lot of college hockey news, and there's a reason you were probably worried that something would break. Last week, the big story, and you did a great job covering it, was this whole scholarship situation now where teams can have more scholarships. So, for our listeners and viewers that don't know a lot about this right now, if you could just give them a little background on what happened last week.
So the short version is this. The NCAA is going through this whole process right now to settle a bunch of class action lawsuits and antitrust lawsuits. And the big thing that everybody's been hearing about, I mean, if you are watching ESPN, following college football, college basketball, it's revenue sharing, right? Players are going to start sharing in revenues. That's going to happen in hockey, to some extent, not nearly as much as it's going to happen in football or basketball because those, sports have much bigger television contracts. But the NCAA is trying to settle these lawsuits. And one of the things that they're trying to eliminate is anything that is limiting the players' abilities to earn income. So one of the things that it was argued in court was that the scholarship limits are violating some sort of antitrust law because it's limiting opportunities for those players. So what they're going to do, if they can't limit scholarships, they're going to limit roster spots. They're going to say, hey, you could scholarship everybody if you want. Right now, the current limit's 18. Schools can scholarship up to 18 players or up to 18 full scholarships. They can break them up into 36 half scholarships if they want, but that number can't exceed 18. Now, the teams that are going to participate in the new model, which is what the NCAA is calling it for now, are going to have 26 scholarships in men's and women's hockey, and that's going to be the roster cap, 26 players. Right. Sounds a little small to me, just only because unlike professional hockey, they don't have the ability to go get players if there's injuries over the course of a year. Right. But that's going to be the situation for the teams that opt into the new model, which includes revenue sharing and other benefits that they can give players. The thing that's going to be interesting in hockey is, unlike some of these other sports, not every team is going to opt into the new model. Not because some of these departments are Division 2, some of them are Division 3. They're not going to opt into the new Division 1 model. Some of the smaller D1 schools that are in smaller conferences for their other sports, I don't think will either. So those schools are not going to have a roster cap, but still be bound by 18 scholarships. So it's going to be a weird thing, and I don't know how they're going to bridge this, right? But you're going to have some teams that are going to be capped at 26 players, and that can scholarship all 26 of those players. And then you're going to have other teams that can roster an unlimited number of players, but can only scholarship 18 of them. So it's going to be strange, and it's going to be strange, I think, especially in hockey, where you've got so many conferences like Hockey East. You're going to have Boston College. They're in a Power 5 conference. They're definitely opting in. They have to. UConn, Providence will for basketball, I'm sure. UMass, Ryan Bamford said that UMass
I saw that on
too.
Twitter. I was just going to say that. Yep.
Yeah. So you're going to have some schools that will opt into that new model and could scholarship 26 players, and they'll be capped at 26. Then you're going to have schools like Merrimack, probably Vermont, Maine. I don't know about Maine, UNH. America East schools, they're not going to revenue share. I don't think they're going to have the capability of revenue sharing. So what happens there? Like, do you have these schools that are going to be playing by different sets of rules in the same leagues? We've been saying for a while, like, there's going to be another moment where a bunch of realignment happens, and it's just what's going to spark it. And I wonder if this could spark something. I mean, maybe it's not for another 5 years, but I wonder if you're going to see schools going, hey, we're stuck at 18 scholarships. That school over there that we're in the same league with has 26. We can't compete here. We got to go somewhere else.
So I'm thinking about it as you're speaking here. I mean, is this, I think one thing I've loved over the last, I'd say 7 to 10 years has been the improvement in parity in college hockey, and a lot of these smaller schools being able to make runs. Look at Quinnipiac goes all the way, or, you've seen other teams. I think of like AIC in Springfield, Mass, making it to the Frozen Four one year. You didn't see that a lot, Mike, when we were younger, obviously. So how do you think the effects will go in terms of the parity going forward? Like you just said, are you worried that some teams are going to be like, hey, we can't hang in this division?
Yeah, I think it's a real fear because I don't know how many schools are going to be all in with all of the new house settlement benefits, right? The Big Ten schools will be, because they have to be. The Power 5 schools have to. So the Big Ten, Boston College, Arizona State, like those schools all have to do it, and they will. There's a bunch of other, those group of 5 schools that they call them, like those mid-tier conferences, and some of them will, like UMass has said they will. I'm sure Providence and UConn will, because of basketball. They're not going to have a choice. There's other group of 5 schools, like I don't know if Bowling Green's going to, like that. That's another MAC school, but it's not UMass. So like, I don't know what they're going to do. And then you've got all those D2s and smaller D1s that I don't think will. I had a coach, and I'll be honest with you, I think, a couple of years from now, this could actually pick up some steam. I had a coach at the Frozen Four tell me, when it looked like this was kind of coming down the pike a little bit, had said, why don't we just end up creating 2 divisions? Like, it's almost like the old football division, and it is now with FCS and FBS. Like, do you have the power D1s and the non-power D1s, and you're playing for 2 different national championships? Like, the fact that coaches have mentioned that and have discussed it, I think means, in Naples in coming years, as that gap maybe grows a little bit wider, it may get louder and louder.
Interesting stuff. Interesting. And it's, like I kind of feel bad if that's maybe going to affect also the recruiting for some of these schools we mentioned earlier that have risen in the hockey world. They weren't getting those recruits. Now they've had years like Quinnipiac, it has a national championship. All those other schools have kind of built this program up, and they're starting to bring in some pretty good players, whether it's the portal or whether it's just recruiting. And I think that's going to hurt that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And Quinnipiac is in a unique situation too, because they're in the ECAC, they're in there with the Ivies, and the Ivies don't give scholarships at all. So that's kind of a different layer to this.
That's a great question. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. I mean, they may look from a league standpoint, they may be okay, right? Because I look at the rest of the ECAC, and it's like, who's going to really be going full bore with house settlement benefits? Probably not many of those schools. Atlantic, so within the terms of their league, they're probably okay. But nationally, I think nationally this hurts them because they're in the MAC for all their other sports, but the double A MAC, not the MAC MAC, the MAA MAC, the smaller of the 2 MACs. I don't know what their department's going to do. My guess, based on where they are for their other sports, is that they won't revenue share and go to 26 scholarships the same way, Merrimack, which is also in that MAC league, I don't think will. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I'll be proven wrong. But, so what happens there? In their league, they're probably in decent shape. Nationally, I think it hurts them. I think it's really strange for schools in the NCHC and in Hockey East because of the diverse nature of the schools in those leagues, right? You've got in the NCHC, you've got Denver and North Dakota, and even like from an athletic department standpoint, I think they'll probably implement some benefits, but I don't know, because again, like they're not big football.
Still in that question mark range. Yeah, they're a question there for sure.
And then you got schools like Miami, which is in a bigger mid-tier Division I conference. They may be revenue sharing. And then you've also got schools like Colorado College who aren't even D1 in the rest of their sports. And Hockey East is sort of in the same boat. Everyone in Hockey East is Division I at this point, but you've got smaller America East athletic departments, and then you've got BC who's in the ACC. So you've got a real diverse nature of those departments. Maybe not the programs, hockey specifically, but in terms of the nature of their athletic department.
Yeah, and that all comes back to hockey the same way. All right, let's get over. I mentioned the transfer portal earlier there, Mike, and just off the top of your head, just fun little exercise. Who are some teams you think made out really well in the transfer portal, and who are some teams that strike you that maybe will take a negative impact going into this season?
The ones that took the negative impacts are not surprisingly, the ones that had some coaching changes. Northern Michigan kind of got pillaged a little bit.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, when they had their head coaching change, that happened, and it was a late head coaching change too. Clarkson had some guys that jumped in there that I think are going to hurt them overall. The teams that benefit, I thought Arizona State did a really good job targeting some of the better players in there, and they had to. I mean, they're going in the NCHC next year, so. Yeah. They were a really good team this past season as an independent. They didn't quite make the NCAA tournament, but they were close. But I think they knew that they needed to up it a little bit going into the NCHC. They grabbed Cruz Lucius from Wisconsin, who's a Carolina 4th rounder. I had him ranked as the second best available player in the portal, and they grabbed Ryan Kerwan from Penn State, who I had ranked as the 3rd best player in the, portal this year. So, the Bennett Shimek from Providence, another guy who was a top 15, 20 player in the portal. They were able to grab. So they really, and Artem Schlane, who's a 3rd rounder or 5th rounder, I think, from New Jersey, they grabbed as well. So they really reloaded a little bit. I thought Minnesota was targeted specific guys, but they got the ones they want, the biggest one being Matthew Wood, who's going to, I think, fit in just fine there. And then Quinnipiac, I thought, had a pretty good portal season too. They grabbed Jeremy Wilmer from Boston University. They grabbed Jack Ricketts from Holy Cross, who had 19 goals and 35 points last year for Holy Cross. And there's a connection there. Bill Riga used to be an associate head coach at Holy Cross, so I'm sure there was a good word put in for him. So that's a team that I think did a good job in terms of, again, targeting some of the more top tier players in the portal. And then you've got some other teams that went hard after big numbers because they had to. A team like Merrimack had a lot of guys that went in the portal, so they had to turn around and grab a lot of guys out of the portal. But I like what they did. I mean, they had a really good season 2 years ago, and I like the way that they approached their portal this time around because it was very similar to what they did 2 years ago. They targeted a lot of grad students and seniors and players who were captains at their previous spots. So I thought they had a pretty good portal season as well.
Good stuff. All right. Another thing I want to talk about, because if you notice, I don't know if you go to TCN's NHL page every day like I do, just comment every morning I wake up, but they've pretty much had the same story for about a week. So I've read it a lot. I've been wanting to talk about him since I asked you on, and it's on James Higgins. And, I don't know if a lot of people understand. A lot of experts are picking him to go number 1 in the next draft. He's going to Boston College. So why is there so much buzz around this player right now, Mike?
Well, I think it's the same reason why we saw it with Celebrini last year. Like, first of all, he's a really good player. I mean, anyone that watched him play knows that he's a really good player. But he's going to go to BC and play with really good players. Like, that's the other thing, which always helps, right?
Yes. I
think it helped Will Smith, and it could help Celebrini, and it's going to help James Higgins too. I mean, I don't know whose line he's going to end up on, but if you're lining up with Ryan Leonard next to you, doing all right.
You're going to do well.
Yeah, you're pretty confident if you get that guy the puck, he's either going to find a way to get it back to you or he's going to do something pretty special with it. So, and I think it helps too, where BC's become kind of an NHL draft pick factory again. When you look at them over the last couple of years, Greg Brown's come back there, and all of a sudden they're looking the way that they did when Greg Brown, before he left to go to the Rangers with David Quinn a few years ago, in terms of their recruiting. So, he's going to be surrounded by a lot of really good players. The other thing I like, and I think it's underrated by fans, probably not by people in the game, but to go there and to be coached by Greg Brown, who coached in the NHL and kind of knows what it takes to be a pro at that level, is going to help him. Same way that I think Jay Pandolfo being able to mentor Macklin Celebrini this past year helped him. Right.
Yeah, and you look at it too. I mean, I like you brought up Leonard there too. That team, if you think about it, I mean, they still could make it back. When they lost Smith and they lost Gauthier, I was like, I don't know. But now I've been more looking at their lineup, and then you got him coming in. I'm like, they could still compete for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. They got obviously Leonard's going to be back, which is the big one. Gabe Perreault's going to be back. I mean, it's so of those 4 first-round picks, 2 of them are coming back, and they're adding Hagens, who might be the number 1 overall pick next year.
Right.
So I think Eamon Powell's coming back too, who was their senior captain last year. I think he's coming back as a grad student. Was their best defenseman. Oscar Jelvik, I think, is coming back. He had 40 points last year. And the biggest one, Jacob Fowler's coming back. I mean, he had cemented himself as, maybe the best goalie in college hockey at the end of last year. And that was as a freshman. Now he's had a whole summer to be in their development program and he's special. And, now you add maybe the top goaltender with a number 1 overall pick. Yeah, they lost talent, but I mean, man, they got a lot coming back. They got a lot coming in too.
Yeah, and Fowler too, man. I know Leonard, when he decided to come back, was saying, I don't want to leave my guys hanging after getting that far. I want to make it back. I think Fowler is going to have a lot of that in him too, because who knows what happens after this season. He's probably going to be in a similar situation. So I think that they're going to share sort of that bond, and that can help that team get back to the promised land. All right, listen, before we let you go, I want to ask you quickly, give me one player and one team that are dark horses that nobody's talking about this coming in the season. Dark horse.
Oh, I like this. I'll go with the player first.
Okay.
I kind of like a player dark horse that no one's really talking about. This is good. And it's funny, like with all of the portal movement sometimes, right? It can be hard to, you look at guys, like I always look at guys like who's going into a situation where, man, like they were pretty good before, but now they've got a really good chance to kind of pop on a big stage. Yeah. Carter Wilkie stands out, I think, going to North Dakota from RIT. All those RIT guys, the big core of their team all transferred. But Wilkie, I think, I watched him play last year. He's a really good player. And I've had some coaches in that league that were, excited when they found out he was going to be out of Atlantic hockey, because they were sick of seeing him on the on that RIT power play. But, that transfer to North Dakota, that puts him on a big stage. He strikes me as the type of guy that maybe he had some pro offers at the AHL level this year. Coming out of Atlantic hockey can be tough to sign an NHL deal. Right. But now going to the NCHC, going to a top team in the NCHC, I think it's going to translate pretty well and could set him up for a big year, maybe a year where he's got a contract at the end of it. That would be a player that I would look out for. And then as a team, I mean, there's a couple of teams that I think are sort of right on the verge of breaking through, and that Arizona State, like we talked about, was one from last year who was kind of on the bubble of maybe being a tournament team, but going into the NCHC, like they're going to have a tough road ahead. It's going to be tough for them, I think, to play in that league year in and year out. The team that I'm going to throw out there, and I thought, man, they should have probably made the tournament last year had the math and the pairwise just been a little different. Colorado College, they were the first team out last year, and when you look at their roster, it was almost entirely freshmen and sophomores that were playing big roles. Yes. So they return almost everybody, and they were younger guys last year. They were another team that went into the portal and were pretty strategic in who they grabbed. Grabbed some guys that I think are going to help fill out their depth too. So Colorado College is one that I think they're playing in the national tournament at the end of the year.
And that's a team, if I remember correctly, my alma mater beat out to get that last spot, if I'm right, UMass?
Yes, yep. It came down to RPI points, and I get it in front of me. UMass was 0.5497. Colorado College was 0.549.
There were so many CC fans and a lot of college hockey fans who were kind of like, come on.
Yeah, they beat them out by 4 1,000ths of an RPI point for the last spot. Wow. But you know what? I would much rather that than the stuff that happens in football where it's like a committee picks it. And then we're sitting here going, and granted, I know they got killed in their bowl game, but people are going, how did Florida State not go in the college the college football playoff? They went undefeated in the ACC. They don't even make the playoff. Like, what did they have to do? Like, at least we're not having those debates because there is a formula there to figure it out. I like
that's a great point by you. And also, we talked about BC having ulterior motive to get back there, a lot of inspiration to get back to fun. What about Colorado College too? You mentioned how young that team was. It's almost like if you're a coach, I've seen so many times. I mean, I see it in pro hockey, right? But I'm sure you've seen it in college where maybe a team gets a little better than they were supposed to be at a certain point. and then maybe there's a little false sense of security there and they fall back. I like that they were sort of in that perfect sweet spot for a learning experience for a team where they can now use that to maybe catapult themselves in.
Yeah, and you look at Noah Lamba, 20 goals as a sophomore, Gleb Vermayev, 15 goals as a sophomore, Zachariah Wisdom, 10 goals as a freshman. Those are their three leading returning scorers. They're all back, and they were all young last year. And especially in college, like I think you see those biggest jumps from freshman to sophomore year, sophomore to junior year.
Exactly.
By the time a kid gets to his junior year, not that he's not developing, but from a college production standpoint, that's when he's kind of at his peak.
Exactly.
You know what? These guys are not even necessarily at their peak yet, and they were double-digit goal scorers last year.
Yeah, that should be interesting to follow there. Well, listen, my friend, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. I love the old Joe Thornton jersey back there.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, though. I remember when he was drafted, he got number 6, and they gave him 6. I said, he's doomed. It's the worst number in Bruins history.
It wasn't a great number. I got this. This is a rookie year at Sign. I don't know if you can see it. Sign right above the 6 there.
Oh, okay. Nice. There you go.
His older brother was my high school history teacher.
No.
So, dead serious.
I remember, because he was out here too during all that. Yeah, when he was
his older brother was my high school history teacher, so I brought the jersey in right after he got drafted, and he got it signed for me. And it's moved a couple times, but it's been hanging behind my desk pretty much ever since. So
one of the worst trades in Bruins history, if not NHL. But anyhow, all right, my friend, always a pleasure. We'll look to get you on back like in September, October. We'll tee up the season. Until then, have a great rest of the summer, my friend.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, Mike McMahon, the College Hockey Insider, joining us here on the Eye Test on the Sick Media Network, and he knows that. He's great. I like talking to Mike. Hopefully we get him on a little more regularly during the college season. Because he's up to date on everything. I mean, it's unreal the stuff this guy knows and the intel he can get. So you want to follow college hockey. I know obviously so many more college hockey players being drafted into the NHL now. A huge rise in the last 5 years. So if you want to start to get to know a lot about these prospects that are already drafted or could be, Mike's a good guy to follow when it comes to college hockey players. But all right, we're going to get back to the questions in a second, but let's get to our sponsors, and we'll get Betway up there right now. And I don't know, I'm telling you right now, if you guys, I don't know if you follow baseball, I've got the baseball bug back again, man. These Red Sox here in Boston are surprising us. They've been fun to watch, and they're winning me a lot of money because I go over to Betway, the leading global brand in betting. Get over there, follow your gut instinct, go with Betway. And I'm telling you, it's a great site. Go over there right now, and you can go to the SKU there on the screen if you're watching, or go to betway.ca. All right, go over to TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting, TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For no obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. Again, that's sickpodcast@shiptcs.com. All right, what do we got for questions? Randy Workman, do you think Johnny Gaudreau has regretted signing with the Blue Jackets? I think the Flames regret it more that they weren't able to keep him. I think he was seriously ready for a change and just maybe a complete polar opposite of the market he was in. I know earlier I said Columbus is a great hockey market, but hockey's not religion like it is anywhere in Canada. You know what I mean? It's never going to compare to that type of intensity from the fans and the media and the scrutiny you're under every single minute. So I think him and his family, the fact that he signed in a more quiet city, kind of a laid back area in the United States, I think him and his family were just ready for a change, and that wasn't going to happen in Calgary to stay there, or maybe even in Canadian markets. So I don't know if he regrets it. I think the Flames do for sure, though. All right, next question. What do we got here? Do you think Shane Wright will make the NHL roster? Jason Logan, that is, asking me that. Jay, I think he does. I like the season he had in the AHL last year. He seemed to mature a lot. He seemed like a different player when he came up at the end of the year. And I think they are more focused. Like I said last week, I know they made the playoffs in their first year, and it was a great story. But they know that they're building right now, right? They're just taking baby steps and building a culture, building their franchise. Obviously, they go out and they get Brandon Montour. That's a huge signing, so they're looking to win. I'm not saying they're not trying to make the playoffs, but I do think they're going to filter in more young players, and I think he's going to be one of them. So, yeah, I think they make it there. Also, we got to sponsor Manta. You guys got the reading there? Oh, there we go. I didn't know if I was supposed to see it there. Sorry about that. Manta Sleep. And, oh, by the way, I got to talk about this. So I am a complete insomniac. I'm brutal. I am like probably one of the worst sleepers you ever meet. And I need it pitch dark when I sleep. I'm crazy. I'm like a vampire. And so if it's not pitch dark enough, I go to Manta Sleep. They gave me such a great sleeping mask. I'm telling you, I sleep a lot better ever since I got the free one they sent me. Thank you very much to them. And thanks to Sick Media for setting that up. They are the only mask designed and optimized for deepest possible sleep in any environment. 100% blackout for deeper sleep. I'm telling you, it is definitely 100%. Infinitely adjustable for personalized fit and absolute comfort. Visit mantasleep.ca and use the code SICKET. That's SICKET for 10% off. All right, let's get some more questions. What do we got? Alex Seminowski. What's up, Alex? When do Penguins fans start to get nervous if Crosby isn't signed? This went from July 1st to August 7th and still nothing. Change of heart. Sorry, guys. I got something in my throat in 1 sec. I'll say this. I think I know why that question came. Obviously, as I said, Sidney Crosby's birthday. But I think a lot of people were thinking that it was going to be announced on 8/7, obviously his number. And they've done that before, and he's intertwined his birthday into his contract. So I think there's some expectation we were going to hear some news today. Hey, it's 4:42 Eastern. We still could hear some news. But I wouldn't worry yet. I would not worry just yet. As we've seen, guys, regardless of status in an organization, of superstar status, of accolades, sometimes the cap just dictates otherwise and lets these things take longer than you may expect when it comes to somebody of Sidney Crosby's caliber. We started with Steven Stamkos. Now, obviously, for the Penguins, they don't want that to happen with Sidney Crosby, where he winds up leaving and signing with another team. But I think I just can't see this. This is a little different, and it's no offense to Steven Stamkos. He was an icon in Tampa. But Sidney Crosby, you know, and then to an extent, obviously, Malkin as well, and Marc-Andre Fleury and Chris Letang. But, you know, when it comes down to it, there's probably no Pittsburgh Penguins anymore if it wasn't for Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux. So I just can't see, and I know Lemieux is not part of that ownership group anymore, but I just can't see them letting that happen. So, no, I wouldn't worry about that. If we get to October and something hasn't been announced, then yeah, let's revisit this. But right now, I wouldn't worry. All right, what's the next question? Charles, do you think Denver will repeat in the Frozen Four finals, or will it be BC this time? As a Habs supporter, I'd like to see Fowler win it. Hey, I think that would be great if he was able to make it back and then win it. What an experience for your top goalie prospect coming in to the pro level, that he's got that under his belt. I think it was already a great experience what he experienced making it and losing. Because I'm telling you, sometimes, as I said there in the interview with Mike McMahon, sometimes for younger players, losing is a better experience than winning. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm saying obviously you want to become a winner. You want to train players to be winners and get the ultimate goal in each division or level or league that they're in. But I think sometimes it's good to get that early on and taste it and let it motivate you. So I think we're going to see a huge year from Jacob Fowler. I think he's going to be up for goalie of the year. I'm guaranteeing that. I think he also could be one of the I don't know off the top of my head when the last goalie was to win the Hobey Baker. I'll have to look that up. But I think he competes for the Hobey Baker. That's how high I am on him. And it's not just because our good friend Pierre McGuire being so high on him. But yeah, I think it would be great. I think he can get the Eagles back to the final. All right, what do we got? Is that it? I think that's it, my friends. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Always fun to talk a little hockey here on a nice summer day. Like I said, it's beautiful weather. We're going to cut it a little short today. I want to get out and enjoy that weather. I hope you guys are as well. I hope you've been listening to us in some beautiful weather outside, on the beach, or by the pool. Always fun talking hockey. I want to thank everybody for their questions in the comments section. Thanks to our guest, Mike McMahon, the College Hockey Insider. And thanks, of course, to our staff up in Montreal. Anello and Sammy doing the job today for the Sick Podcast and the eye test. We will talk to you next Wednesday.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the eye test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.